my friend Benson Juarez from Privy. And if you haven't watched the podcast where Benson tells us everything about his life, okay, where he comes from, his background, how he got into real estate, you need to go back on my channel and find it because Benson has a very interesting life, okay? And he tells us how he got into real estate and all that. But today, I really don't want to waste your time. What we want to do is we want to get Benson, who is a master at using Privy, to show us how to find on market properties that are on the MLS throughout the whole country. So, Benson, number one, thank you so much for being here today, brother, and for taking this invitation at such a short notice. And number two, let's just show the screen, man. I don't know if you can share your screen.
Yeah, absolutely. I can share it here. But before we get started with the software, like I think that there's some things worth pointing out.
Of course.
And the first thing is, like, there's this big debate about where to find motivated sellers.
Okay.
Right? And so we've been taught for years, and we were just talking about gurus. The gurus, for the most part, have tried to convince us that the only viable opportunities are off market, right? Because if it's true that there are on market properties, then a guru isn't as valuable with their proprietary systems and their coaching programs than if you can only find properties in like these really like hidden places off market. And, you know, there's none that are on the MLS. But the truth is, you can find a lot of on market properties if you know how to look for them. And it's a data driven approach. It isn't like, okay, well, I live in Hayes, Kansas, so I'm going to go look for deals there and I'm going to find on-market properties. Right. You're not going to find any viable on-market properties in Hayes, Kansas. And the reason is because it's the comparables. It's the market and investor activity that creates the opportunities. And if you're in a low investor activity area, a place where no one's flipping, then you're not going to find as many on-market deals, right? So I always think about the highest and best use of your time. Could you maybe stumble into a deal in Wichita, Kansas? Yeah, maybe you could, but could you really build a sustainable, consistent, predictable business that will give you leads over time and where you can really hit high revenue? Well, maybe there's a few people there that are doing it, but it's a smaller market, right? So if you wanted to have those things I just mentioned in your business, then you need to target high investor activity areas. And with high investor activity areas, it actually creates deals both on and off market, because it's that fix and flip that just happened last week that closed that creates deals out of all of the unrenovated homes in the area. That comp creates the margin between what a house is in its as-is condition and the fix and flip down the street. So if you don't have those fix and flips that are happening, then you're not going to find viable deals at a discount. Now, there's other ways in other strategies for deals, right? As opposed to just wholesale, fix and flip, BRRRR. There's still there's cash flow type opportunities, but even like rental properties and, like subject to and some of those other creative strategies will actually perform better in high investor activity areas. So that alone will help to create more viable offers. Okay. So let me show you guys how this works. I'm going to jump in here and I will share my window. I'm going to move.
All right.
Off.
There you are.
Cool. So this is the Privy platform. For those of you that haven't seen Privy before, it's a website. You don't have to download any software. We also have a mobile optimized version, so you can use it while you're in the field driving around and such. But one of the most important things about Privy that makes us different from other really great platforms out there is our direct to MLS data. And what that means is that we actually go and negotiate directly with the MLS in that local market, so we can get the raw data feed inside of our platform. Now, our platform is password protected. It's behind a wall, right? So it isn't publicly facing. So this information is not available out on the internet. You have to be a user to be able to use and see this. So look at all these markets. There's over 100 markets where we've got direct to MLS, wherever it's blue, and we're only in certain markets for a reason, right? Because like you see Nebraska here. Now maybe we'll probably get Omaha at some point, but we haven't prioritized the Omaha or Lincoln markets because it's not a really high activity area compared to areas around here, right? So we're slowly adding in more markets. The ones that are pink, those are the markets we're currently working on. So you can see here, we got a lot of coming soon markets. There's like another 15 to 20 that are in the queue in some sense. Now, areas where you don't see any blue, like in Wyoming and Nebraska, we still have data there, and it's all data that you guys are familiar with. It's something like you might get from like a prop stream, which is a great platform, but we haven't added the direct to MLS data on top of it. So you can still find motivated sellers like foreclosures and absentee owners, vacancies, stuff like that. You still get owner information. You still build a buyer's list. All the stuff that you can do inside of Privy is still doable in these other markets. We just don't have that real-time MLS data to improve the quality, give you photos, and give you that real actionable data. So you can still operate in all these other markets. One of the things I learned, Ricardo, probably about 6 or 7 years ago, and in using the system, because when we built Privy, we built it for ourselves. We didn't build it to just sell. It was like, we're going to use it in-house to, track markets, find viable deals and comping, right? Comping is a challenge for most people because it's really more of an art than it is a science. And it can be pretty overwhelming if you're not, good at it, if you don't practice. But what I found out is that most people actually go and they invest where they live because it's close. And they think that if they can go look at a property with their own two eyes, that it's going to help them better understand if it's a deal and maybe, get more closings. And there's a little bit of truth to that. But what's more important is that you're targeting the right areas. So over here on the left, we have this button that says fix and flip. When I click that button, it's going to plot on the map where all of the investor activity is nationwide. And these are all the fix and flips. So I'm not suggesting that you have to fix and flip, but the majority of the time we measure how good a deal is based off of a percentage of ARV, after repair value. And after repair value is what drives a lot of our other calculations in this business, like what to offer. We can look at what other investors are actually having success with. And that is one of the key differentiators for this, as well as it's not just a tool for efficiency and data and list stacking and finding deals. It's also an education tool. It teaches you like what's happening on the ground in your target market today, which will allow you to be better prepared to compete with people when you do write offers. So you can really understand where the numbers are. So I mentioned to you, some of those markets where there's just not a lot going on. You can see really big holes here in what's going on. So like South Dakota is just kind of a hole. There's not much in Wyoming or Nebraska. And it makes sense too, right? Because these are areas that have lower populations. The cities are further apart. It's more of a rural area. And so it justifies what I've been telling people for years, which is don't go and use your hard-earned resources, your time, your money, your influence in an area that has low investor activity, because you'll get a better return on that investment if you target an area that has high investor activity, like Kansas City, right? A lot more activity here. So let's just say, for example, we target Kansas City. So about 6 months ago, I was looking for another market to target. I'd already done this exercise before, and I had chosen the city on the other side of the state, which is St. Louis, and I had some good success there. But recently, I actually met some people at a mastermind. It was Mike Hambright's mastermind, and it was the Crown City Homes team, Todd Marriott and Ben Allgaier. And they're like, well, man, if you really want to come and understand the market, you can come out there. And I'm like, I had already done my research. So I was like, heck yeah, now I can go out there, know the data, know that the cities or the neighborhoods to target, and I've got now boots on the ground. I'm golden. So this is how I did my research. So I drilled down into the market, and then this is going to show us what neighborhoods specifically have the highest demand for deals. And the highest demand for deals are the ones here where you see these high numbers, right? So it's really visual. It's not like a spreadsheet or a graph or something where it's just really kind of hard to interpret and take action. I just click these big blue bubbles, and then pretty soon I'm close enough to the market to wherever I can actually start seeing the deals that have been done, and I can learn for myself what a deal is. And that's one of the hardest parts about people who are in the weeds with this is they spend all their time marketing, cold calling, skip tracing, knocking on doors, mailers, ringless voicemail, text blasting. And then God forbid it actually works and they get a deal, they get an opportunity, and they don't know if it's a deal or not. They're like, oh shoot, what do I do with this? How do I comp it out? What is a real deal? Because a deal in Kansas City is not the same thing as a deal in St. Louis even, but let alone, the West Coast in California or Houston or Philadelphia. So that local market intelligence is one of the biggest assets that some of our users get, is because it shows them what their competition's doing and then where you got to be with your numbers to make it work. So it's viable and you can actually get it, right? You can write offers all day, but if you're writing offers at 30% of the ARV all day, you're not going to get anything under contract because someone's always going to beat you out. So you want to be able to nail your offer so it's low enough to where you can still make money, but high enough to where you beat out other people and still win the bid, right? There's a fine line there, Ricardo, right? And you know that from your experience. So how do you tiptoe that line? How do you get it low enough to make money, but also high enough to win the bid? It's this right here. All right. So let's look at a deal that just closed, right? And I'm not going to spend a bunch of time on the research, but this is an extremely valuable exercise to spend time on, because you can look at a property. So this is our comparative market analysis. It's just a fancy word for a property report, where we bring all this data in from multiple sources and put it into one easy to use and to understand report. So you can see the photos, right? This looks just like a nice little fix and flip. Scroll down even more. We got the property remarks, like that all comes from the MLS. So if you weren't using a platform like Privy, you wouldn't see these photos likely, especially if it's in a non-disclosure state, which you are in, right? Houston is in Texas.
That's correct. Yeah, we can see some things, but we cannot see everything,
which makes it extremely challenging, right? Like many of the people that are watching this right now, you've already got the world against you. It's you against the world. And then you say, okay, shoot, now I have, bad data. Like, just might as well just kick me while I'm down. Right. So we remove that as an obstacle so that you can actually see the real prices that the properties are selling for. You can see the photos. You can see what's really driving value. This right here is our comping algorithm. So that's all automated, and it uses that same data that agents and appraisers use. So these values are the same as what they're using, right? So you can really understand the comparables, and you can come in and massage the criteria for what a comp is. Maybe you've got a really unique house, like you've got a ranch, 1,100 square foot ranch, and everything in the neighborhood's 2-story, 2,000 square foot houses. Well, you got no comps. So what do you got to do? Well, you got to come in and adjust this a bit to try to bring in some more data to use to analyze that property. And that's what appraisers do too, but the comping algorithm is doing that for you. One of the other things that's really cool about Privy is we bring in another source of rental data comparables so that you can analyze a property not just based off of as is or after repair value, but also from a cash flow perspective. So a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,000 square foot ranch in this neighborhood is going for these amounts. And so, if you're looking to build your own portfolio, very important, right? To know what other houses are renting for, but also too, if you're wholesaling and you're looking to maybe get some properties under contract that you could assign to landlord buyers, then you need to speak their language. You need to be able to not just give them what the estimated ARV is, but what's the estimated cash flow, so that they can see that property as a potential asset. And then again, on these rental comparables, we know what it actually rented for. And then we can see what condition the house is in. So you can see this is, a rental grade property. Like this is a turnkey rental. So, you can get $1,000 a month if you just do something basic, but maybe I want to push it up to the higher end. So maybe I look at this house here, I can get an additional, $300 a month for something that looks a little bit nicer. Right. So you understand where that's at. All that data is in our system. And we've got that rental data nationwide, not just in our direct to MLS areas. That's a completely different data set. And then below that, we have this area called the before and after. So this house here, remember we were just talking about on-market deals, Ricardo. This is the house before it was flipped. Look at that place. I mean, it's trashed basically, right?
Right.
And then over here on the right is the after pictures. So you can see what kind of construction they did. You can see what kind of materials they used. You can really see like where the bar has been set. Look at the before and after on this. So this property was purchased last year in July, and this just sold a couple days ago for 2. So you can see how up to date this information is. So pretty cool. And again, we know this was purchased from the MLS is because we have the MLS ID here. If it was purchased direct from seller, we would know that too. But what would show here is just the street view. And then you can see like, oh boy, in this market, people are buying a lot of houses from the MLS. In this market, most of the inventory is coming from directly from the seller. And that's those local market realities that are really helpful for someone who's trying to figure out where to spend their money. But check this out. Ricardo, they bought this at 24% of the ARV. This is on market deal. I didn't cherry pick this one. This was just at the top of the list. We were just talking about finding viable deals. Well, nobody's more motivated to sell their house than someone that actually makes the decision to put it on the MLS, right?
Right.
Someone who's in foreclosure or who's an absentee owner, or a vacancy or probate or bankruptcy or divorce, there's indicators that they might be motivated. But we all know that most of those people are in that situation because they stuck their head in the sand. And they're likely never going to talk to you, or you're never going to talk to them. So can you get deals off market? For sure. But you have to have really good follow-up. You have to have an amazing CRM with reminders.
Oh no, and it cost a lot of money, Benson. Like I that's what I specialized on, right? Was finding. So I'll give you a little bit of my background. On the meantime, can you find this property real quick? I'm looking at it on my end. 607 Speed in Wharton, Texas. Okay, 607 Speed. That way you can. I want to see your opinion on that one. 607 Speed.
SPEED.
Yes, sir. Speed, Wharton, Texas. Basically I started when I started buying properties in 2008. I bought from wholesalers, okay, and when somewhere along the lines in 2013 or 14, I couldn't I couldn't see deals coming through my desk from wholesalers anymore. And I was getting frustrated. So what I did is we have a system here in Texas called HAR, actually in Houston. And we, I used to, at the time, like maybe in 2012 or 14, like the price per square foot in the Houston area was like $100 a square foot. So if I wanted to find something that had some equity on it, all I did was do a search for $50 per square foot or less. And then any property that was listed, then that would be a potential deal for me, right? And that's how I basically bought all my properties in between 2012 all the way to like 2015, when we learned how to lead generate ourselves. But to your point, doing lead generation off market, it's very expensive. You have to pull the list. You have to skip trace it. A regular skip tracing service is 10 cents. Then you either have to put it on a texting platform or a cold calling platform, and you got to pay for that system as well. Then you got to pay for text messages coming in and out. And then you got to get either a VA or you do it yourself, right? Doing it yourself will be the cheapest way, but then what is the cost of your time? And for the most part, people that are running big shops, they are literally, they have VAs, right? Which is something we specialize on doing. We have VAs that do lead generation, lead management. But honestly, this allows me to go and find in any market that's, like you said before, like that's populated and there's activity. I can find properties right away and I can put offers right away without having to go through all the cost and the hassle of having VAs, and maybe you can have a VA trained to do this, which is something I'm thinking of doing now.
Yeah.
Getting one of my VAs trained real good on Privy so they can go and find these properties all over, put the offers in, talk to the agents, the whole 9 yards. So what do you think of that property there, Benson?
So this one is very unique, right? Because it's small. It in most
Yes.
everything in the area. Look at the square feet here. Like the closest one, these two right here are the only ones you could even consider to be comparables, right? And even like this one's probably too big. But it's also 2-1. That went for 151.
Right.
And if we can look at that house right here, we can click this and it'll show us the sale. And let's see what condition is. So it's not even in great condition.
No, it was in beat up conditions.
Yeah. So that is positive, right? If you got comps that are higher that have not been renovated, that's a good thing.
Right.
Is this something you're looking to buy or you're selling it or what is it?
I flipped that house. It's on the market right now, and we were actually under contract with a buyer. Actually, I didn't flip it. My wife did. And she found this property on market. And she talked to me one day and she said, "Hey, look, this property selling." I forgot what they were asking, but she went and offered $35,000 for it, and they sold it to us. So
here's the before and after.
Yeah.
Right. So we can come down here and we can see what your house looked like before.
Right.
Right. And here's the after. Right. And so it's nice and fresh. You put the new, luxury vinyl planking in here.
Yep.
There's the kitchen. And what'd you guys buy it for? So you bought it for 40 grand. Great deal. Right.
Yes, sir.
So let's look at the kitchen here. It's a nice kitchen, looks really good. It's not really super high end, but you probably built to like the level of the neighborhood. And
it is the level of the neighborhood. It is more of a rental type property than maybe a first time home buyer will get this. But in older houses like this, for them to get an FHA loan is a problem, which is what we went under contract already on this deal with an FHA buyer, and I knew personally that it might not work because of the inspections and all of that. They're also first-time home buyers are very they get scared fairly easy, and the job of the inspector is to scare them away because they need to justify their $500 they charge for the inspection, right? So yeah, because honestly, that's what the only reason why that buyer backed out is because they got scared because of some stuff in the attic or the nails sticking out of a piece of wood or whatnot. But long story short, this is a perfect example of finding an on-market deal because this property was on market, and she put an offer. She got it for 35 grand, I think it was, or 40. And then she put another 30 or 40 grand in it. And now we're selling it, but we're also renting it. So if it rents, then we're going to refinance it and keep it as a rental.
Yep. I think it's going to take the right buyer for this. Someone who, is looking at this neighborhood and they're going to be able to find something more affordable and live in a little bit nicer neighborhood because everything else is much larger, bigger lots. This is a smaller lot as well, but it'll work. And then if we come up here and we look at the rentals, so I'm going to uncheck all and look at the rental data here. So like some of your rental comps, the exact rental comps is about $1,200 a month for a 2-1, even a little bit smaller. So you might be able to approach $1,300 a month on this as a rental. And that's where I think the next selling point is that you guys should be looking at who all the landlords are around here and calling them and being like, hey, we got a property that would be a perfect rental for you. And then you could even just come right down here to who owns this thing, and you can see who owns it.
Yeah, we actually sold a couple of those properties to other landlords already. So we've done a lot of deals in that area, in that particular area that, by the way, nobody's looking at.
Yep. Well, there's actually some listings here for rentals. So there's some opportunities there for that as an exit strategy. But you're exactly right. Like that was an on-market deal, and this one over here is as well. This one was purchased from the MLS.
Yep.
Right. Now, if I'm building a buyer's list, say I'm a wholesaler and this person just flipped, that's really good for me to know that this person right here might be interested in another property because they just closed on one. So the best way to build a good buyer's list is not by networking or posting on Facebook and being like, hey, where's my Houston buyers?
Yeah, that's
it's
right.
Looking at the data. Who's doing deals today? Who actually has the resources and the ability to buy a property, fix and flip it, and close it, right? You can't tell that by just networking or posting. The data tells the story. And so you can export this right here into a CSV file, and there would be 238 new buyers you could add to your buyer's list if you were a wholesaler. Now, I mentioned earlier in our meeting that we have a lot of agents that use Privy. So if you're an agent and you're looking to find more investor buyers that you can target and help them find additional deals using Privy, by the way, you can download this, and now you got a bunch of new potential targets to go call and be like, hey, I'm an agent in the area. I saw you just flipped that house on Brighton Avenue. It looks great. Are you looking for more deals? Tell me about what you're looking for. And so there's a lot of ways to leverage this data to market, to find more leads without having to do it through like, a high expense marketing type strategy.
Right. Can we go to like Atlanta, Georgia and find a potential deal over there, Benson?
Yeah. So let me just switch over here. So all I got to do is just type in Atlanta, and it'll take this same algorithm we just ran in that market and find another one. So let me adjust this filter just a tad. So I'm going to include surrounding areas, and I'm going to go and see where the highest activity is. So when you look at the greater Atlanta area, looks like right down in here is one of the hot spots in all of Atlanta. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit. And then again, these clusters are going to break up, and then I'm going to search for deals that I can buy in the same area where houses were just closed. In my opinion, the easiest way to find a viable deal is to find the unrenovated house that's down the street from the house that was fixed and flipped and just closed yesterday. That is what makes it so simple. So all I got to do is just say, okay, cool. Well, here's this hot area. Let's switch the algorithm over. Let me just click that again. This little green button shows up. So this is an automated deal finding tool. So you click that button, Privy's going in, it's analyzing all the properties in that area. And then I want to adjust the filter a bit. I didn't do any market research here, but let's just assume that we need to get something below 60%. Okay, maybe we talked to our buyers, or we did more research and we could see what percentage of ARV that buyers are buying at. And maybe we even talked to one of our buyers, and our buyer says, I'm interested in anything below 420, right? And maybe they give you their buy box, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,200 square feet plus, built after 1950 on a 8,000 square foot plus lot, right? Maybe that's the buying criteria. You can customize this filter, and then after you run it, you can save it, and then it'll send you alerts in your inbox every time a property's found that matches your criteria for multiple different searches. So you could have your line in the water in Atlanta. Maybe you're looking for your own rentals in Atlanta. And then maybe you do wholesale in Houston. And then maybe you look for subject to in Philly. Like, you can have these automated, all searching for you while you're busy doing life, right? So let's go ahead and run this search. And then we're going to see if we can find anything that is viable right now. So here's some properties that look like they could be deals, right? Now, these are being identified not based off keywords or based off of, like you said, price per square foot. It's based off of the comps, right? So if I click this property right here, this is a 3-2. It's on Kennesaw Drive. And I can scroll down here, look at the photos. Looks like this property needs a bunch of work. It says investor's delight in the, the keywords there, or in the description.
There's a question here, Benson. They say, so is Privy better than PropStream? I like to say that Privy is different. Okay,
Yeah.
PropStream and Privy do two complete different things. Can you explain, Benson, for those out there that are listening to us or watching to us right now, what is the main different thing in between Privy and PropStream?
Yeah, I appreciate that question. The first thing I would say is if you've ever used PropStream and Privy, you'll immediately know the difference, because there's very little overlap. It is completely different. There's very little similarity to what we do. There's some things that have been, like, I would say, commoditized, or just like every system has it, like pulling lists, right? Everybody's got that. Owner information, mortgage information, foreclosures, just distressed seller situations. That's all. Everybody's kind of got that. What I would say that PropStream does that we're not interested in doing right now is the marketing side of things. So if you are interested in doing, ringless voicemail or text blasting, or, you've got an exclusively like marketing driven approach, then PropStream would probably be a better option for you. Now, where we do start to edge them out is when it comes to the data for comping, right? So this data here comes directly from FMLS in Atlanta. We also have GAMLS in Atlanta. In Houston, we have HAR. In Dallas, we got Netrix. So that data gives us this real-time updates with the photos, with agent information, and the comping is just on point. So our algorithm uses the same data that agents and appraisers use to comp our properties out, not public record data, which we all know is dated, right? It has delays, and there's holes in it. And if you're in a non-disclosure state, like there's over 10 of them, you simply just couldn't operate well if you're a serious investor, if you're using just a platform like PropStream, because the numbers won't be apparent to you. The before and after, what I showed you guys earlier, that's proprietary. Our deal finding algorithm is proprietary. This rental data, that's a proprietary relationship we have that shows you this real-time data. Some people, again, I'm not throwing rocks at anybody. Some people have called us the Apple compared to an Android, right? When you think about user interface, user experience, the agent info, again, is something that is proprietary. So we pull in agent information here. We've got several agents in the Atlanta market that are investor friendly and they want to do business with you. We've got all their contact information right here. And we recently launched a algorithm that finds cash flowing properties. So with all that rental data that we know of, we use those rental comparables to analyze every property, not just from a discount perspective, but also from a cash flow perspective. And you can measure that based off of cap rate, annualized return, cash on cash return, and gross yield. So 4 different measuring sticks, and you just move the slider up and down and it runs a calculation based off of multiple different assumptions, like property management costs, acquisition costs, loan interest rates, like it takes all that into consideration to figure out if it cash flows and makes sense for you. So lots of differences for sure, but we could certainly get in the weeds with that. But let's look at these opportunities, right? These properties here are viable, and we just spent zero money on marketing. You don't have to be a salesperson. Like, that's one of the biggest things here, is that most people who start in this business think that they're they're going to become a wholesaler, or they're going to become a real estate investor. If you start off and you target off market, your job is a salesperson. That's what you are right out of the gates. And so I know from being a businessman, business person since way back, to the 2000s, that most people aren't good at sales. Can you learn to do it? Certainly. I think everybody here can learn to be a good salesperson, but it is extremely challenging. And so many people it takes years to perfect, right? Because when you're marketing to somebody and you get them on the phone, maybe they're in foreclosure, you have to be able to get them to know who you are, like and trust you in a really small window. And then you have to close them. That all the while where you've marketed to, you spent thousands of dollars on marketing, and now you're learning to sell on a lead that cost you $100 to get in the door. It's very challenging. So be honest with yourself about what you're good at. If sales is your jam, then off market is certainly something you should consider for bringing in more leads. But why not go and get these low hanging fruit too? Like this property right here, you can get it for $104,000. And we got the closest property down the street is sold for $186K. So this house at asking price, without even negotiating a better deal, is at 56% of the after repair value. That's a deal. Larger lot, they're both 3-1s. It's slightly larger, but it's within that 15% tolerance of the square feet. And again, I didn't have to go out and spend a bunch of money trying to find this opportunity. It's right down the street from this house right here. So that's how simple it can be to find an opportunity to go out and do. This is 5334 Lee Circle. It's still available, but it won't be for long. I guarantee there's offers in on this property right now. But as a whole, if I was going to wholesale this, I would do a little bit more research to figure out what percentage of ARV my buyers are buying at in this neighborhood. And then I would work the numbers, right? Because at asking price, it's at 56%. Well, the immediate inclination for people who are doing deals is like, oh, I want to get a huge discount. So they might offer like, a 20% discount. Right? I know people who just go in and offer 20% discount on everything that's active, right? Regardless of knowing what the ARV is, right? So a deal is a deal is a deal, right? So it doesn't matter if it's listed at 58% of the ARV, and maybe I'm a flipper and I know that I can make my numbers work up to 62% of the ARV because I know my costs, I'm a listing agent, and I know XYZ. I would offer more than 104K on this as long as the numbers work. So you don't have to get a big discount on properties that are on the market if you have houses that were fixed and flipped in the same neighborhood. It makes it way more simple to operate and offer realistic offers that have a higher chance of being accepted. Because why the hell are we doing this if we're not trying to write offers that are going to be accepted? Anyone can submit a lowball offer, but that's just waste your time. So this is one that we should check out.
You see, that quick, we find a deal, a possible deal, right? Like you said, we should check it out. Maybe when you get there, maybe the repair cost and all that, maybe it makes sense, maybe it doesn't make sense. You still have to do your due diligence, right?
100%.
The good thing is you're talking to an agent here on this case, right? Because you're calling the agent, and you can ask all the questions you need to ask to the agent about the property. They're going to send you a property disclosure where you can see what's needed, what the property has or doesn't have or whatnot, because this is a whole different approach to lead generation where for the most part, many of us have focused on off market all the time, and we're talking direct to seller. Here you're going through an agent. So the agent wants to sell the property, guys, and so does the seller. Otherwise, they wouldn't have it on the market. But you can now tap into a whole new different world of leads that very few people are understanding how to work. So Benson, do you have inside of Privy like an educational a tab, I would say, to learn how to use it, or maybe even learn how to negotiate or how to present the offers and all of that?
Yeah, so we have tons of education here in the Learning Center. We actually do 2 live trainings per week, where
Okay.
you can get on live with somebody from our team, and they go and do like a short kind of like rundown on how to use Privy, and then they open up for questions. So you can join those live trainings right here. We've got a bunch of courses that we've built to help you do different things from wholesale to fix and flip. That, or if you're an agent and you want to use Privy to find deals for your clients, we also, keep you updated on the new software stuff. So there's a bunch of support here, and we've got a support staff too. We hired a director of customer success who's doing an amazing job in making sure that we're providing amazing support for our users, so that you don't just sign up for Privy and you're left hanging. Like you constantly have ways to improve, learn, and then get support when you have questions.
Awesome, brother. Well, thank you so much for being here today, man. This was amazing. We're gonna have one of these every month with Benson until he gets tired of doing them. I really I learned a lot, and actually I wanna take it one step forward, Benson. When I go back to my office in Venezuela, I wanna engage one of my team members with Privy, so we learn how to use the platform correctly from all the trainings that you have, but also to offer potential people that want to include Privy onto their tool belt. Okay, guys, Privy is not the one size fits all. Okay, I tell people like PropStream is amazing. They have their ways of doing things. Privy has their way of doing things. They're both complementing each other, and so are other platforms out there. So I wouldn't replace one with the other one. I will just add more to it because it's just another way to find deals. Unless you become so good at Privy, then this is all you use. Which I believe, if you put the time and effort into learning how to use Privy and master it, you can do at least at a minimum one deal per month. At least at a minimum, okay? And you can do more. I know that you told me, Benson, that there are teams out there that they're crushing it with Privy, that they're doing multiple deals a month.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, we got people who have mastered this so well, and not that it's really difficult to do, but got to the point where they're able to write, 20 to 30 offers a day. Now, if
Wow.
you can find that much volume, imagine the amount of ones you're actually going to hit. If you're doing off market, you might be lucky to write one offer a week. And that's if you've got a really good system in place, right? Because it's hard to get that conversation to be even able to have the opportunity to write an offer, let alone get a property under contract where the numbers make sense. Right? With this, it's the volume increases your chances of getting deal flow. And if you're motivated, or if you got people on your team that are motivated and they're eager to learn the system, it will happen. It's a numbers game.
Look, I am committed to training 2 VAs that will master Privy so they can become part of somebody's operation. All they're going to do is find properties on Privy. They're going to go and put offers, and they're going to get deals on their own. I'm going to try it myself first. So watch me the next time we have a video together next month, Benson, how I'm going to bring that VA, and that VA is going to display how we're finding deals on Privy, and how we're making contracts and offers. Somebody asked, is this for wholesaling or flips? This is for both, guys. If you're looking to fix and flip, then you're literally cutting the wholesaler out of the way, right? If you are looking for to wholesale deals that are on market because you have a great pool of buyers in a certain area, then this is a no-brainer. Like, you can wholesale things that are on the MLS as well. And I'm pretty sure that if you dive deep into the learning center inside of Privy, you're going to learn how to do multiple of those things. That's what I'm looking at today. Guys, I posted a link here on the website. Make sure you go get an account with Privy. Do they get a free trial out of it, Benson? How does it work?
We don't have a free trial currently, but you must have a promo code. Did we give you a promo code?
I do, and I have to find it. I posted my link here, and it's all there. But
let me just, I'll find it for you right now. 1 second.
Yeah. So
and they'll get a discount with if you just work with Ricardo on this. All right, guys.
Absolutely. Click on the link below, and I just posted my link in there, and I am committed now. But honestly, I'm committed to get at least one or two VAs to master Privy, and I'm gonna show because I'm a master of delegation, Benson. I
I've
love to
noticed that.
delegate.
I'm so jealous, man. But listen, we're working together on that, right? So, I
Absolutely.
that is one of the things that I've used for it. And by the way, you guys, if anybody here is interested in finding VAs who can help you, connect with Ricardo and his team. Like I got set up with him to find some VAs to help me with a bunch of different things, including like content creation and just administrative work that I needed help with so I could focus my time on money making activities. His team kills it. So if you're trying to do all the stuff yourself and you're wondering like, oh my God, I'm buried, I don't have time to do all the stuff I need to do, hire a VA. It absolutely works. It will really allow you to focus on the things that matter and not all the administrative stuff that just bogs you down.
And I appreciate the shout out for that, Benson. I tell people, like, look, because sometimes we're like, oh, I can do this task, I can do this other task, and I can do this. You can start with one VA 1 hour per day. Just 1 hour. Try one for 1 hour and see what the VA can. And I don't even like calling them VAs. They're my team members.
Yeah.
I say, look, get you a team member for 1 hour a day that's gonna take a task off your plate. So you can use that other hour for things that are more important for you. Like for my case, is exercising and getting back into my a good fitness routine. Okay. So that's why I use my guys, is because I'm like, look, if I'm working busy doing all the things that I do, then I don't have time to go walk or go to the gym or do these things. So long time ago, maybe I wouldn't say long, but maybe a couple of years ago, I started massively delegating to my team members, my VAs, and my life completely changed, Benson. And that's why I am committed to showing. The promo code is a 10 growth, guys. So use the link that I posted there, and use the promo code of 10 growth. That way you can get a discount on Privy. But my commitment, Benson, we're gonna have a call, and on that call, I'm gonna get one or two of my VAs to show you how we're finding deals using your platform, and maybe you grade them. You say, okay, you guys are like a 5 out of 10, or maybe you guys are at a 7. Or that'll be a fun call, okay? And the reason I'm committed on doing that is because I believe that if you hired a VA or somebody to go do and find these deals for you, do lead generation for you inside of a platform like Privy, then you compress time, and all you do is focus on underwriting, whether it's a good deal or a good or a bad deal for you. That's it. You say yes or no, and you move on. Okay, so Benson, thank you so much for being here today, brother. Such a short notice. I really enjoyed this conversation and looking at the platform and how you make it so easy to find a deal in any market. I just gave you a city and you went and got there, and boom, you found one in Atlanta, Georgia, where, by the way, it's an area where people say it's super saturated. There's no deals in Atlanta, right? You got there, you found a potential deal. Now, you also need to go do due diligence, okay? You have to ask for pictures. You got to get comps. You got to maybe talk to the agent, get a feeling of the area, see what the rentals are. Like Benson showed us, this is what properties are selling for, price per square footage. This is what properties are renting for. You got to go do a full-blown due diligence before you want to make an offer. That way, once you make an offer, you're more confident about the area. You know the area better. And then you can either go wholesaler or flip it. So don't forget to hit share, like, and subscribe, guys. If you are listening to this on a podcast on Apple or Spotify or whatever, you need to come back to our YouTube channels. Benson has a YouTube channel. I have a YouTube channel. I think we're both streaming to both channels. And you need to make sure you hit share, like, and subscribe, because on those channels is where you're actually going to see the actual platform at work, okay? If you're just listening, it's hard to understand what Benson was explaining. But if you go back to our YouTube channels, you hit subscribe, and you're gonna be able to see the videos and see how Privy can help you work. So with that being said, Benson, if there's something else you want to tell our audience.
Yeah, if you don't mind, could you put my socials in the chat for anybody that wants to get more tips and tricks about how to use Privy?
Absolutely.
If you are interested in like talking or learning from other people who have had success, we launched our podcast a little while back, and we got some amazing guests on there, and we just got tons of nuggets of good inspiration and tips and tricks that you can use in your business. So if you don't mind, follow me on my TikTok at Benson REI, Benson _ REI on Instagram. And then we're on YouTube too. That's where we post a lot of the podcasts and clips there too. And I promise you, you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, they're all, this is TikToks, Benson's TikToks is Benson REI. Then we have his IG, Benson _ REI. And then we have his YouTube channel, at Benson Juarez 1929. So make sure you go hit share, like, and subscribe. By the way, we handle all of our channels for Benson. So I'm more than happy to help him grow his channels and get you guys to go learn on how you can use Privy and how you can include that in your daily lives. Okay, it's very inexpensive, guys. One deal that you get out of Privy, you will 1000x the cost of doing business with Privy. So don't forget to hit share, like, subscribe. Thank you so much for being here today, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.
Bye, everyone.